The following project is part of a joint research effort by KU Leuven and the Optentia Research Focus Area, and is funded by the Flemish Inter-University Board. Unemployment is one of the most significant challenges facing South Africa.
Yes, we're currently in a difficult situation. I think we've got a unique country where we've got very low economic growth, with very high inflation and interest rates compared to our trade partners. People in South Africa with high skills can get good jobs, but people and the majority of low skills are not getting any jobs.
The unemployed people, they are actually waiting passively for what was promised to them.
Jobs are created by the private sector, not by the government. So that is a problem, and they don't realize that. Nationalization, government involvement is very important in communism, but not to grow the economy. I think they were making a massive mistake there.
Obviously, there are a lot of results and outcomes or consequences that comes from unemployment, including crime, including stigmatization, including people losing self-worth, self-respect.
To gain insight into the experiences of unemployed people in townships in South Africa, the Optentia Research Focus Area, in collaboration with KU Leuven in Belgium, has investigated this problem for the past 5 years. The overall aim of this project was to gain extensive knowledge regarding the experience of unemployment in South Africa. A symposium was recently held in Vanderbijl Park, where researchers, business and community leaders could share ideas.
Today's symposium, I think, is a nice wrap-up of what we did, where we stand now and how we can continue in the future. And I also think it's a very nice reward or giving back to the communities, in the sense that we have almost all members of the Europe here present. They're sharing their stories, they can share their experiences within the project also.
We demonstrate inclusivity in the day.
And I think it's so valuable to have speakers here that are from the community. You know, I can present my research and say my participants said this and that. They come from a first-person perspective. And that is absolutely wonderful.
I also think it's a very nice opportunity for the field workers to showcase how they were involved, what they got out of it. And yet again, it's like a really research community that comes together and tries to see where are we now and how can we continue in the future.
Well, we've been doing 3 different bits that are tied together in a way. So first we have Melinda, who did this qualitative research, and I think one of the most interesting things is that she went to discuss with people in Boipatong and Orange Farm to how do they experience unemployment. And of course, what I very much liked in the research of Leonie van der Vaart is she did more a quantitative survey kind of study, in which she tried to find out whether there are different types of unemployed and how they this kind of different coping behavior with unemployment, first how diverse it is and whether that relates to motivation. And the last bit perhaps is that Rachel tried to develop this kind of intervention. So we asked Roland Blanc, who is really expert in this jobs intervention, to come over and to help us develop an intervention.
It was a kind of it was really an experiment because, this type of training was developed in the States, the United States. It was implemented also in Finland and later on also in other countries. And I looked at that concerning the unemployment issues we encounter in the Netherlands. And just to look whether that would be effective. And it really was also an effective intervention. This is what we usually encounter, and that was also what we encountered here in South Africa. It was, at least for me, a kind of, okay, this is gonna work. Yeah.
The fact that we found 3 PhD students who were very different in one way, but who have been collaborating in a very, very complementary way, and that they, at the end, give us a very strong end result, which is really united, even though they might be different. That's one of the most surprising things for me.
I think if I can start to summarize the most important findings, the first one would definitely be that we should refrain from talking about the unemployed, because it's not one big group that are all the same individuals. There are different types of unemployed, and that's how we should deal with them.
I think that one of the interesting bits is about the paradoxes that Melinda, for instance, found in her qualitative research while she was doing research in townships. So paradoxes like people being partly envious to persons who are entrepreneurs, and at the same time also asking them to help them and to support them.
The absolutely neglect from government side of the townships. It's forgotten places. It is just they forgot those people, and you know, there's diamonds inside the townships, and if we can tap into that strength and resilience of those people, we can do magic.
To me, it was very nice to know that people in South Africa really would like to work, would like to contribute, which really runs against some stereotypes that may exist nationally but also internationally. So for me, it was really the resilience of people who are unemployed for a long time and have a lot of challenges. They really want to work.
The second main thing that we found was that even though we would have expected better quality motivation would have more positive outcomes for individuals, in such a pressurized, in such a discouraging context, we did not really see that happening. So even though it was still better than having, you know, poor quality motivation, it was not as positive as we would have hoped for the individuals.
The people in the townships are really inside a high crisis community, and what I found also in the literature is that people in a high crisis community tend to turn on each other. You know, the whole village raise a child, and that they are resilient and they can go on because of Ubuntu, because of caring for each other. And now I hear from our participants that they say directly, Ubuntu is dead.
We should not try, from a psychological point of view, try and see improvement and activate the unemployed, even with better quality motivation, if we do not at the same time either create jobs or opportunities for them to employ themselves. So it's important to combine the economic interventions with the psychological interventions, but then also with job creation or entrepreneurial opportunities.
What I like is that we're not trying to change people's life physically, but also psychologically, which is very, very important.
The intervention seems to work, perhaps not in all regards, regarding all possible outcomes, but it seemed at least to strengthen self-esteem and efficacy of people. So they, after going through just a week of an intervention, they feel stronger to really look for jobs and find jobs afterwards, and they are more confident in themselves.
And I also liked very much that doing this international research really challenged some general beliefs we might have about people, about unemployment, and actually I think a lot of the results that came up in this study within the South African context would also apply to Western countries. We are different in some instances, but we all are also very much alike, and sometimes we disregard that, and I think that's a pity.
Let's not tell people there's a problem and walk away. It doesn't work that way. So that's what I love about this project, is that it has a solution in mind. It has got a solution or intervention at the end of the project.
We have a dark situation and there are many uncertainties, but I think if we just start asking different questions and finding different solutions, then there is hope.
We need incentives for small business to grow. How do you do it? Give incentives for them, reduce taxes, create enabling environment for them to be successful. reduce the labor regulations. Hire and fire situations should be brought in, that people can appoint people on a massive scale, and also make sure that you've got capacity for service delivery, electricity, sewer, water, those type of things.
I was retrenched when I was 25 years old, and then I started my own company. And from that, I can tell you that you cannot retrench yourself. If you've got skill, you can employ yourself, and at least one person's got a job and one family's got food. That's one ways. To put it academically, we need to generate entrepreneurs.
I'm proud of the integration of qualitative, quantitative, and an intervention kind of study that has the potency, perhaps, to be something that can be used later on in South Africa and that might be helpful for people being unemployed and for the communities working with the unemployed. So perhaps I'm proud of something that might still come, but the seeds are there.
But the future will be very different from the one we had in the past. And looking for solutions or employment options in the same way we've done it in the past is not going to get us very far. So that's why I'm saying that I don't know what the answer is. I don't even know what the questions are really. But we must ask new questions and find new answers, but completely open to the possibilities and not be stuck in our old ways of thinking.
I've learned something that I will apply in all my research projects in the future, and that is to involve the people who you are researching about in your research. And I think the Unemployment Research Advisory Board just gave us so many interactions to understand the community better.
I think our greatest achievement is the URAP. The members that we got together, they are from government, they are community leaders from Boipatong and Orange Farm, they are business people. So I feel very proud of them, and there's a core group that we had for the 5 years.
I think the integration of the research from one side and the community has been very successful to a certain degree. The fact that researchers went to the communities and the community also went to the university, they've been telling us quite interesting stories, their reflections on what happens, what we found, and that the integration in a way really succeeded. I think that's a very surprising and a very nice thing.
I think real community work started with this unemployment research project. We are learning a lot from those people, and then I think we are building new networks for future research programs that we want to launch.
Well, the Northwest University we strive to remain known for academic excellence, and we have a promise towards social justice. So in this whole concept, international collaboration and international partnerships play an extremely important role. It helps us to build capacity, but it really also helps us to make our research meaningful, and it improves the impact of the research. The more we collaborate, the more we realize, although the contexts are unique in each continent, the challenges are the same. And the multidisciplinary approach to research enriches the research, and I think no problem can be solved without bringing disciplines together and bringing different experts together. The synergy is just amazing.